The mainstream media is crazy for Christie. The former governor of New Jersey hadn't been a candidate for even 24 hours before the left-leaning media, in particular, all in, despite his chances at getting an actual bid for the GOP spot being pretty slim.
Christie and his evolution from Trump's bestie to Trump's nemesis.
Christie, former New Jersey governor, announcing he's running for president, saying that he wants to stop his old pal, Donald Trump, from becoming the nominee.
And there is more coverage coming, mostly from the left, since his main strategy is to take shots at Donald Trump. But the right-leaning media is doing the same thing with Democratic candidate Robert Kennedy.
Now, that man they call dangerous is Joe Biden's leading primary opponent, and their view remains the same. Shut up, you're not allowed to talk. We disagree with that. We're not Democrats, but Bobby Kennedy is one of the most remarkable people we have ever met, and we are honored to have him on our show tonight.
In fact, RFK has now been on Fox News many times since that interview with Tucker Carlson. You know the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Well, that is what both sides in the partisan media appear to be doing here with these underdog candidates. That is our first topic tonight for an amazing panel. Joining me now is Touré, host of TheGrio's podcast, Being Black, the 80s, former co-host of MSNBC's The Cycle. Joe Pinion, former GOP U.S. Senate candidate who ran against Senator Chuck Schumer in New York. And Dana Kennedy. She's a senior reporter at the New York Post. She previously worked as a correspondent and anchor for multiple networks, including CNN, ABC News, and Fox News. Touré, fair comparison here to compare the right's coverage of Bobby Kennedy to the left's coverage of Chris Christie?
You're smiling because you know it's not a fair comparison.
Why? Tell me.
Well, first of all, the CNN is giving you there just telling you Chris Christie is running. He has been a governor. He was a significant part of the the Republican primary before. He's a big national figure. When a figure jumps in, the media is going to give him a day or two of focus, and they should let the public know what's going on. And they expect news and entertainment value from Chris Christie. He's going to be saying evil things and mean things about Donald Trump. RFK is an entirely different thing. He does not matter. He has no chance to win because we already have an incumbent, right? What? Chris Christie, you could say he has no chance to win.
Well, no,
we said Donald Trump had no chance to win, and we covered him, and look what happened.
But he's doing much better. I mean, Bobby Kennedy has got like 20% in polls right now among Democrats. Chris Christie's got 2 or 3. I expect that'll probably go up, but what do you make of it?
Well, look, I think I would disagree. I think that Bobby Kennedy certainly has a better chance than arguably many of the Republicans that are running against President Trump. I think if you look at it just from an X's and O's standpoint, there are less candidates on the left, and I think the refusal of the DNC to even acknowledge the existence of other candidates besides the president, they are playing directly into Bobby Kennedy's hands if he chooses to accept it. Because I think even if you go back to his own father, the thing that catapulted him into that race was an incumbent who was sagging in the polls, who ignored a primary challenge. And of course, that became, in many ways, the kindling that led to Bobby Kennedy entering that race in the first place. So I think, look, all things being equal, I presume that Biden will most likely be the nominee. I presume that Donald Trump will most likely be the Republican nominee. But I think that writing off RFK Jr., particularly when the race is much slimmer on the left side of the aisle, I think a dangerous thing for Democrats to do.
Dana, I find it humorous, right? The way that in particular, I mean, look, Fox News' treatment of Bobby Kennedy, I find more amusing to some degree because they laud him more. They seem to be, I mean, Greg Gutfeld, every single word he said matters. Democrats shouldn't be jittery. They should be joyful. He's obviously kidding a little bit. But there is a constant call for why are Democrats not taking Robert Kennedy seriously? Why aren't they taking him seriously? Well, we know why Fox is saying that.
We do, but I think you write Bobby off at your own risk. I think his candidacy is the most fascinating thing about this race. I think we need him, and I think when we talk about whether or not the media is propping up these candidates, the media needs these candidates more than they possibly ever have before because the media is incredibly irrelevant, especially all the cable network news and the TV networks. They have less and less ratings. People are going more and more to alternative media, including this one. They're dinosaurs.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.